So, hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this stream of Europa Universalis 4. This is the Anbennar multiplayer game, and we have got quite a few large nations beginning to emerge, as you can see from the previous sessions. This is session 7. And we are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 players, not including me. I mean, that's still quite a large group. And if we switch over to the player map mode, we can see that there are a couple of people missing. Arboran is not here at the moment. Did we have another? Oh no, you became a march, right. And Jordland is not here, which is unfortunate because Jordland is currently involved in a war. Although they may have come to an agreement before this session started and peaced out already. Yes, they have. Jordland is no longer at war. So some kind of deal was reached. I don't remember 100% who was fighting. I do remember it was a very big conflict, though. Yeah, wasn't it? No, it was not Vern. Oh, it was in the New World. It was Boyce Carvo versus others. So that fight just ended. What was lost? I think Boyce Carvo was torn apart a bit. If we go to you and the diplomatic map mode, Istranar, you don't have any cores on Istranar. In fact, Istranar is a march of yours, so it's not Istranar. Menboy Free Company, it's not that stuff. That's also a march of Boyce Carvo. I have no idea what just changed. Did you just take over land here? Wyvern's Bay. Have you lost some territory? Ah, okay. So Boyce Carvo actually won. And took a whole bunch of land here. More than just a bit. That was a pretty healthy chunk taken out of Wyvern's Bay. Interesting, because I did not see that as a Boyce Carvo victory, unless somebody else threatened to intervene if they did not peace out, which is possible. Yeah, it's unfortunate we don't have Jordland, because Jordland is quite a powerful nation with a very big fleet, and it's probably the only one that could really be a counterbalance to Ebethil at sea. And I'm very much expecting to see Ebethil really come into their ascendancy at this point, taking over the rest of Haraf. Probably continuing to expand down here. Although actually Vern has kind of cut them off from that. They could definitely go after Osgarom. And also Lorenka. Jordland's player couldn't turn up today. Yes, I heard. Caius actually has a really good fleet potential with... Really? Well, they don't have naval ideas. That's kind of what I'm balancing this off of at the moment. Because if you don't have any... Not even, like, maritime ideas. If you have no seagoing ideas, you're going to get thrashed by those who do. Like, if they had naval, then yes, actually they would be pretty strong. Because they get the heavy ship combat ability, which kind of puts them on par. In fact, I think it makes them slightly better than Ebethil. Naval combat off of owned coast, that's what Ebethil has as well, so then that just becomes a battle of where you fight them. The difference here is that Ebethil has plus 20% morale. Which is gonna be very tough to overcome. Meanwhile, so which other wars do we have going? Ah, yes, the Gargantuan Goliath crazy struggle between the Phoenix Empire and Soldier-Sat. Now, I have heard something about the Phoenix Empire, which is kind of interesting. They have a modifier, which I didn't even realize existed, which makes their armies ridiculously strong. And I don't even remember what it's called. So bear with me while I find it. What is it called? Land Reserve? Reserve something... it's not under reserves. Okay, I don't remember what the actual trait is called. Oh, actually, you know what? I can find it. Because it's under professionalism. they don't have any professionalism. It's this one. Reduce morale damage taken by reserves. Have they lost that modifier though? It's not Soldier Set that has it, is it? Soldier Set has 50%, the price of a mile. So I'm guessing they've lost their professionalism buff. Ah, that's what it was. Okay, so it's Soldier Set that had it, not Phoenix Empire. But the reason that this is so strong is because if you have lots of soldiers in a battle, usually you kind of have troops filtering in over time, because the troops which are in the battle physically are taking damage constantly in the back row. They are called reserves. Sorry, not even in the back row. In the army itself are constantly taking morale damage because they are in the fight. However, if you have this reduced morale damage taken by reserves, minus 100, which you can get if you have 80% professionalism and also soldier stats price of a mile, then it means that you can just throw in 300,000 men into a battle and it does not matter. You don't need to worry about the proper flow of troops over time. You just throw an army at an enemy, you put them straight into the fight and you just let them fight. And that's really strong because it means you don't suffer attrition because they're in the battle. You don't suffer attrition when you're actually fighting. So that's a really powerful ability that Soldier Sat can get, because it means you just don't care about the proper flow of reinforcements at all. And that's definitely one of the highest skill things of Europa Universalis 4, is getting those reinforcements coming in at the right time, with the right impact, with the right combination of troops. It's hard. It's very hard. And that's really one of the things that separates great players from good ones. And Soldier Sat doesn't care. They can just throw him in. Yes, Kreinvar is indeed a part of this war. So Soldier Sat is definitely losing ground to Phoenix Empire here. At the moment, Soldier Sat still has 200,000 manpower. They can pip away 7 times on army professionalism, so they can slacken for another 600,000 manpower if they need to, 700,000. Phoenix Empire is tapped for manpower, tapped for professionalism, but not tapped for money, so Phoenix Empire is already running on mercenaries. And then we've got Kreinvar, who are pretty much tapped for manpower. They can tap for slackens 3 times, they've got another 300,000 manpower. So definitely Soldier Sat has the advantage in terms of numbers. The problem that Soldier Sat has is money. So this has become a war of attrition, numbers versus economy. And right now, Phoenix Empire definitely has the economy to take these hits. Soldier Sat does not. Soldier Sat is already, yes, in debt. They owe 6,000. Phoenix Empire actually owes 7,500. Interesting. And Phoenix Empire is now getting Yordland subsidies, although now that Yordland's an AI, that might get cut off. Interesting. And the war score here is plus 17 against the Phoenix Empire, despite the fact that they're being occupied right now. And then Kreinvar coming in with all of their minions. They do actually outnumber Soldier Sat's main army, but Soldier Sat so far has won every single fight against them, because they do have also just ridiculous combat modifiers. Why aren't they completing missions that they've done? So very often those missions will have side effects which you don't want to trigger straight away. So one of the regular missions that you don't want to complete is like morale, because you want to save that morale for when you're actually at war. So he's not completing the trade efficiency one because he wants to trigger that trade efficiency at some other point. Maybe after the war is done. Maybe once he's actually got a navy, for example, and can actually exploit that trade efficiency properly. Same as why don't you trigger a golden age as soon as available, because you're saving it for a better moment. Another good example is morale. If you have a morale of armies buff, you generally don't want to trigger that until you're actually at war. Because I know Lorent has a couple of them, for example. Until the AI triggers it for you. That's true. That is unfortunately the danger for not being here. So who's this? Animated. So did we actually get a reserve for Jordland? Alright, so Animated should be joining any moment now. And, oh, that's Arboran. Yeah, kind of an important player. So it's still just Jordland that we don't have today. Cryoenvar and Phoenix Empire aren't allied anymore due to the Great Power status. That is true. Yep. First place and fifth place. In fact, Phoenix Empire would still be in first place even if Soldier Sat did get the technology. And Jordland has already triggered Naval Hegemon again. Will they be allowed to keep it though? That is the question. Egglings. We don't have Mine Boy as well, so no Neckcliff, but at this point I would be kind of like, yeah, fair enough. Mine Boy has done his thing. He's shown his character by playing on, even despite all of the odds, but half of his main island is now occupied. It's just like, that's the second homeland you've lost, so I get it. Fair enough. I'll allow it. Usually I'm pretty harsh when people have abandoned their countries too early, but Mine Boy, you're cool. We've seen you more than once put up the fight when you probably shouldn't have. So, who are we waiting for now? Animated was indeed Arboran, so it is maybe just a Jordland? Or are we just going to start? Chat is currently asking, what are we waiting on? Not chat. The players are currently asking, what are we waiting on? The end of the world, as we know it. Three, 6, 4, 2, General 5, 4, 3, 1. Van Rahar with a 4, 6, 3, 1. Is Van Rahar being played again? No, not this time. So Drakeguard is still a vassal, but it looks like Drakeguard's the only one. But Drakeguard's been played for quite a few sessions now. I think this is probably the third or the fourth. Still in the process of taking out Rezenkand. See, Rezenkand is one of those nations that I think gave up too early. And Lorent is fully occupied by Chaos. Interesting. And then the virtually identical colours of Bjarnrik and Small Country taking over the remnants of the Gnomish hierarchy, though I think that pretty much all of this is going to go Bjarnrik at this point. Small Country was unfortunately slowed by truces. Oscar is fitching some launcher issue, I think. Okay. Always the launcher issues. In fact, you know what? Something I realised I had not actually done once during the Anbennar game that I did on Wednesday is yesterday I played the trailer over and over again for No Step Back. But I haven't played it a single time on stream for Origins, you know, the game that I represent, and which I think is the better trailer. So I'm just going to go and find it real quick, and then we will go and set that up while we're waiting for the players to arrive. I need to go to... Where's the right camera? There it is. Back to the game, and we're moving. Coming back just in time to see that there is a battle. Phoenix Empire here against Soldier Sat. Phoenix Empire has pushed north from their position down south. We've got Crime Var coming in as well. Soldier Sat looks like they're going to lose a stack here as they are just being attacked on all angles. Their main army there in the front has been defeated. I do need to turn on the sound again. There it is. Oh, and then we're waiting for another hot join. This is Just Dutch. Who's Just Dutch joining? Oh, this might be Yordland, actually. As part of Origin, are they making it easier to tech in the Far East? I don't know. I don't think so. The big difference coming, it's not with Origins, it's with 1.32, is they have changed how technology works in relation to institutions. So it used to be as soon as you get an institution, the tech cost starts to tick up. Now, each technology basically has an institution requirement, where if you don't have that requirement, then it will cost you just a flat 50% more. So instead of getting up to like tech 10 and then institution being brought in, and then it slowly ticks up from 1% to 50% until you actually embrace the institution. Now it's, if you get to tech 10, if you want to go to tech 11, which you can still do, it's just going to cost you 50% more unless you have the institution required for tech 11, in which case the cost is just base. And the real impact of this, I think, is... Oh, I had a really good point to make with this, and then suddenly it's just gone. Is to make it so you're not penalised for spawning institutions. So you've just spawned Renaissance, and then the immediate reaction is, oh no, we've got the Renaissance. Tech is going to get more expensive now. Instead it's, okay, I need Renaissance to get this next technology if I don't want to pay the extra cash. I therefore need to get Renaissance. Then it becomes a good thing to have the institutions as opposed to a bad thing to spawn the institutions. If that makes sense. Like, I still would kind of prefer that there were more institutions, so it wasn't just a flat 50% penalty for not having it. I'd kind of prefer if it was like 20% penalty per institution, and then you just bring in 3 times as many institutions. The other benefit of that is you can have institutions spawning all over the world rather than 90% of them being in Europe. Because then you could have like a Chinese institution, which the Chinese have and makes their technologies cheaper, but the Europeans don't have yet. And of course, I absolutely detest the deving up for institutions, which I think they just need to get rid of. But that's just me. Probably one of my least favourite features. Probably, certainly. What do you call it when 2 halflings move in together? Cohabitation. Okay, that was a good one, Sindrin. That was a good one. No cannon dwarves here today. Oh, that might be true. Yes, we have not gone through and done a proper introduction of all of the players, which is something we really should do. And we will, once Just Dutch is loaded in. Which is happening, slowly but surely. So it does look like there is a very, very well coordinated offensive here from the Phoenix Empire and from Krynvar, because Soldier-Sat is kind of left scrambling. It also looks like Soldier-Sat has no internal defences whatsoever, so all of their forts were just on the front line. And once you're in the front line... Alright, chat's being stupid. I'm just going to go onto the break screen until that's gone. Once they're through the front line, there are just no internal defences. There is absolutely zero defence in depth here, unfortunately. And chat, again, I did not mean chat, I meant the players. Okay, the load is almost finished. I think now we're just waiting to get back in. Come on. Come on. You can do it. I have faith in you. Let's go. I don't want to play Lobby Simulator for 2 hours again. Had enough of that yesterday. There we go. We're back. Alright. So we need to take a look at the Soldier-Sat battle going on here. Soldier-Sat losing 3,500 a tick. Good grief. Against the Phoenix Empire. It's because they have no general here. Oh no, disaster. Because their only general was the guy that was back here. And their entire army seems to be retreating for the Straits. So it looks like Soldier-Sat is effectively giving up the entire plains to the Phoenix Empire and to Krynvar. Because it's pretty clear that they need to regroup. And oh no, unfortunately they're retreating back to here. Oh, that's a bit of a disaster. It's not a huge number of soldiers, but it's a pretty healthy amount. Yeah, it looks like they just triggered Force March to get away, as far away as they can. Because again, Soldier-Sat has the numbers. They can absorb losses. What they can't do is absorb financial losses. And they are definitely up against it. Like, Phoenix Empire outnumbers them. Krynvar outnumbers them. The only advantage they have is just the depth of their manpower pool. And these guys are now just pouring in. Okay, so Just Dutch. Who did you join as Just Dutch? Is Yordland. Excellent, so we do have a Yordland. Atos is playing in Cannon Dwarf, so we do have a Cannon Dwarf. Of Dal Kanzat there. So I think that's all of the major powers now played. Yordland was the only one that we were really missing. I wonder how much the AI messed him up. There is a Golden Age going. Whether he triggered it or not, I don't know. 1675, so yeah, AI triggered the Golden Age, unfortunately. Losing a small fortune, probably because all the heavy ships are on mothballed. Hopefully the AI hasn't just deleted them all. Yeah, so all of the ships are just on mothballed. That's the main reason that you'll be losing money. 920 ducat debt. You're over the fleet limit, but that's easy enough to fix. Just mothball, then it doesn't really matter. Ships are cheap. And now we just have a bit of a carpet siege situation going on. These 50,000 seemingly safe for the moment. They could probably be retreating through the back, then try to sneak across. But at the moment it kind of looks like Soldier-Sat just hasn't realised that they're missing. And it's just leaving them there. Can Krynvar see them? No. So Krynvar does not know where they've retreated to. And in fact, this is all terra incognita. Obviously players won't know that, but that's pretty useful for those Soldier-Sat guys. Just being left there though. Oh no, it's another 50,000 men. You can't afford to keep losing these kind of numbers. So what is it that you're going to be losing? It's mostly pretty low development territory that's being occupied at the moment. The expensive stuff is in the actual lakes region. The plains aren't that important. That is very much like Siberia in front of the Muscovy region. It's a reverse Russia. They have lots of space to play with, but if the enemy gets to here, then you're screwed. Every time I've come here, it seems that Soldier Sat's losing a war. Well, this war has just been a very, very long one. It's kind of ongoing from last time. I do kind of wonder if any of Kryenvar's neighbours are going to make use of this. Adenica, Marhold, Arboran. Arboran's not really a rival, though. Well, I mean, they have been fighting against Kryenvar. Like, any of those guys could really make use of this to be able to turn on Kryenvar. In fact, they're even occupied fighting against Karuvia at the moment. Because right now, it kind of seems like Soldier Sat was the only one that could really take on the Phoenix Empire. And if Soldier Sat is being occupied in this way, then Canor, frankly, is in trouble. Although this is 1st place and 5th place going against 4th place. But then technically Soldier Sat's 2nd. It's just their tech issue that's not allowing them to do that. In fact, is there a technology disparity? You are Miltech 18, you are Miltech 18, you are Miltech 18. So everyone is Miltech 18. So no technology disparities at the moment. How close is Soldier Sat to actually embracing? They just need money, which they probably don't want to take loans out for. When is the next tech level? 10 years. Oh, yeah, they're fine. The Ottoman Empire, pretty much. Kind of sad the Elf Hugbox just dominating the game. Nobody's really been able to counter them. Like, the only ones I would say came close was when Marhold and Adenica, that very first war against Kryenvar, when Arboran backstabbed Adenica. That's the closest anyone's come to actually beating these guys. Unfortunately, the rest of Canor doesn't seem to care, and I think that's going to bite them in the back sooner rather than later at this point. I would definitely be casting a bit of a worried eye east. One of the most entertaining things with the mod I like for vanilla, which heavily expands on the splendors and goals for each age, lets the AI get Golden Age much more easily and all the tags proc Golden Age within the first 20 years. I wonder how easy it would be to increase the AI restrictions on, or improve the AI decision making on Golden Ages. You don't actually have a fort here, so if they make that crossing, you have nobody that's actually holding that crossing. You have a fort here, which is a canal. Canal City! Trade power defensiveness. Nice. And it is in fact urban. Be interesting having a landmass kind of like this, but be a swamp. So most of the land is ocean or water, and then you have these little strings of islands that go through it, connected by straits. Somewhat similar, I guess, to the woods, for where there's enough dry ground that you could actually build stuff, versus just swampland. Like super dense, pretty much wasteland, but you could still sail through it. Like Everglades. It'd be the Everglades. There's like a meter of water. You can't really build anything on it, but you can sail through it. With the right boats. I mean, I guess you couldn't really put heavy ships through it. No way to model that in EU4 though.